Ole Anthony was born in St. Peter, Minnesota on October 3, 1938. As a kid, he was a troublemaker, getting into drugs and crime. The situation was so serious, he was given two choices: military service or prison. He chose military service, joined the Air Force, and became an intelligence officer, monitoring hydrogen bomb testing in the South Pacific. And one explosion not only dissolved an island, but nearly dissolved Anthony as well. After 3 years in the service, he became a defense contractor and moved to Dallas. Life was good. He lived in a luxury apartment, went bar hopping, and had more girlfriends than Casanova. But in 1972, he met a British missionary who led him to God. Since the Lord commanded self-denial, Anthony gave up his lavish apartment and his womanizing life. He started the Trinity Foundation and began his mission to help the homeless. After hearing all the unflattering stories about Tilton and other televangelists, Anthony got the Trinity Foundation on a number of mailing lists and studied the way these preachers used mailings to squeeze money out of their followers.
It's one of the saddest things that exists in our society, that these alleged men of God have taken advantage of the widows and orphans that are in our society.
In 1988, Anthony met a man who had been a longtime donor to Tilton's ministry. He had given his last $5,000 to the televangelist in hopes of some kind of miracle. There was no miracle, and when he went to seek help from Tilton's church, he was turned away. This was the last straw. Anthony would now launch a full investigation into Tilton's ministry.
TV evangelists may read from the Bible, but an angry preacher named Ole Anthony says some of them have forgotten a very important lesson from the good book, the one about a rich man not getting into heaven.
He sends out 880,000 mailings every 2 weeks. We have calculated there's an average of 16 instances of fraud in each and every mailing. He's a joke in the name of God. People dismiss him as they're just a Southern cultural phenomenon. The people that get taken, they deserve to be taken, because they're dumb or something. I mean, that's crazy.
And that, along with the $1,000 you send him, will cause your miracle to come to pass. It's a heavenly Las Vegas.
He is defrauding the people of America, defrauding the people of Texas.
In 1991, Diane Sawyer, the superstar TV anchorwoman with the ABC network, became curious about televangelists and wanted to do a segment on TV preachers on the news program she hosted, Primetime Live. The episode would turn out to be a study of 3 televangelists: W.V. Grant, the pastor of the Eagle's Nest Family Church in Dallas, who would later go to prison for tax evasion; Larry Lee, the pastor of the Church on the Rock in Rockwell, Texas, and the host of the show Change Your Life. Robert Tilton would be the grand finale, and in comparison to the other two, his segment would be the most damaging. Tilton's glorious empire would never be the same.
You are now going to meet a man who takes in more money than the income we figure of Madonna and Michael Jackson combined. As we said before, it takes a lot of money to keep one of these TV ministries on the air. But we have been told that making money and marketing are what this man does best.
The Tilton segment was titled The Apple of God's Eye, for this is how Tilton saw himself.
And I'll tell you something else. Those that mess with me, they're messing with the apple of God's eye.
This is Robert Tilton. He has the fastest growing ministry on television today.
It was reported that viewers were riveted by Tilton's melodrama and his quirky style. All parlayed into a high-tech church taking in so much money, he made other televangelists look like amateurs.
And I want you to make a $1,000 vow of faith. Oh, I know you probably don't have $1,000, but vow it.
When ABC tried to find out exactly how much money Tilton made, they discovered a ministry shrouded in secrecy. A place surrounded by surveillance cameras, offices sealed off by security, and a pastor who had bodyguards, just like your average wealthy business tycoon. But they were able to get a hold of financial statements.
But Primetime obtained some of Tilton's financial documents. These are daily deposits, and based on these, Tilton's followers sent his ministry conservatively $80 million a year, tax-free.
Tilton's televised service was described as an expensive multimedia variety hour. Although, despite the flashy style, Tilton considered himself to be just a simple preacher.
Today is a miracle day.
In this fundraising campaign 2 months ago, Tilton told followers he was making a pilgrimage to the mountains just for them.
Separated myself from the hustle and bustle of the city life, just as Jesus withdrew himself and went to the mountainside to pray.
Like Jesus? The Bible says Jesus went to fast and separate himself from worldly things.
And how much self-sacrifice was involved in Tilton's mountain sabbatical? He flew first class to a ski resort in Colorado, used 3 large suitcases for the 5-day trip, stayed in a room with a fireplace, and even brought his own television set along, all while asking followers to send him money. The segment contained a spot where Ole Anthony would participate in a hidden camera stunt. He and the Primetime Live crew would visit Response Media, the Tulsa-based company that handled Tilton's mailings. Anthony would portray himself as a Dallas minister wanting to grow his church. Life is full of surprises. This humble, no-nonsense man who ran a homeless foundation in East Dallas was now going undercover with a major broadcast network.
So we decided to take hidden cameras to see what we could learn about Robert Tilton's fundraising. It led us first to the nerve center of his ministry, the company that organizes his direct mail. It's called Response Media.
They met with the head of the company, Jim Moore, who said Tilton was doing even better than people thought.
We told Moore that we were media consultants for this man, Dallas minister Ole Anthony. We asked him to show us how to start a big money ministry like Tilton's.
They were able to record some very interesting information.
If you have any problems with praise, we want to mail you the latest copy of X. Get the name and address. No. New name is the key. That's new name. New name.
They learned that once the company got names, it was easy to keep people on the hook. You just mail something with a gimmick in it.
First of all, when you send an item in it gets their attention. That's number one.
Tilton sends out an avalanche of things he asks viewers to send back to him.
There were miracle prayer cloths he promised to touch and place upon an altar. Cords he said he'd place on a wall of deliverance. A tracing. Place your hand there, and he'll place his hand there too. There was holy water from the Jordan River and miracle anointing oil, though some of the items actually came from the holy land of Taiwan.
The letters accompanying the items are written by ghostwriters to pressure followers to write back and make donations too.
And what kind of response did Tilton get? People sent the letters back by the truckload.
There's a feeling of obligation to send it back, and they do. And usually they're going to send it back, oh, I'll go ahead and put $5. I'm not sure exactly all the reasons why it works, but I can tell you from years and years of experience, it does.
And when the letters arrive, they're processed so the company knows which fundraising appeals you can use to squeeze followers for the most donations.
So it was market research, not God, who told Tilton which appeals reached the richest donors and which illnesses created the most dollar opportunities.
Someone had a growth. I just saw growth being healed.
Tilton said that after paying all that money for airtime, his money went to missions around the world. But when they tracked down every charitable contribution of Tilton they could find, they calculated that he spent more money on billboards around Dallas than on all missions combined. Diane Sawyer went all the way to Haiti to visit the Tilton orphanages.
Tilton uses 3 different names for his Haiti orphanages. So when we went to Haiti, we asked the government officials in charge of foreign missions if they'd heard of any of Tilton's orphanages. They said no.
And Tilton was very careful on how he handled the missions money.
And Tilton's marketing director made it clear when it comes to money for missions, Tilton is very smart. He's careful not to say what donation goes where, so he can avoid, again, how Jim and Tammy got caught.
Poor Robert Tilton. Everything associated with his ministry seemed to be attached to something shady. Take the matter of the $1.3 million loan that got Tilton in every TV market in the country.
Primetime has learned that for several years, Tilton courted a man news accounts have tied to organized crime and drug smuggling.
Herman Beebe was the shady character who gave Tilton the loan, though Tilton claimed he never met the man. And a hidden ABC News camera recorded Tilton instructing his cameramen to focus on the audience members showing the most emotion. A former employee, Bill Hardy, who worked the phones, shared his experience in the Tilton world.
In July of 1989, a computer was installed to keep track of our times. And so we had to basically be off the line in 7 minutes.
The phone scripts directed the employees to get a minimum vow of $100 from everyone they talked to.
We truly became the McDonald's of ministry. We were selling our ministry for money.
When Tilton went to Israel in 1990, employees at AT&T were asked to pose as Tilton prayer ministers, including a woman named Elizabeth Montcalm.
I got people calling about their sons being on drugs or alcoholics or husbands being an alcoholic. I mean, people are telling you their most intimate secrets, their personal stuff about themselves. And here I am, you know, just a temporary employee from AT&T.
Tilton talked modestly about his salary, saying it was set by an independent firm and included only one perk, a parsonage.
But could this be the parsonage in swank Rancho Santa Fe, California?
A $4.5 million Lakeview home with a pool, jacuzzi, thousands of dollars in furnishings, and a 4-car garage for Tilton's Mercedes.
Tilton has lived here for the past 2 years, and the house was paid for in cash.
Primetime obtained documents showing that Tilton had organized his ministry with himself as a sole proprietor, which gave him access to all of its wealth.
In his personal loan application, Tilton's bank says he has $1.5 million in cash and CDs. He has access to $14 million in treasury bills and real estate bought at a cost of $40 million.
All in all, $60 million in assets were available to Tilton.
And those are the ones he puts on the list. There's only his board to hold him accountable. So who's on the board? Tilton, his secretary, and his wife.
the program added that the followers' mail didn't even go to Tilton. It went, unopened, straight to the bank.
So the bank opens the followers' mail, not to share the agony, but to get the money.
And takes your money and puts it in your account. All we get is the paper document and how much the person gave.
And, in what may have been the most damaging fact mentioned in the report, many of the prayer requests were found in the trash.
We found them in the garbage, at the bank and the Marketing Research Center. The angels of God, the prayer cords, the arrows, the tracing where Tilton said he'd place his hand, ripped up by the bank.
Near the end of the broadcast, Ole Anthony was interviewed.
So what do you say to the person sitting at home, watching?
Let's open your eyes and look at the need around you. Give to that need instead of some faraway evangelist that's talking you into playing a heavenly lottery or a heavenly slot machine.
And they'll get those miracles?
They'll get all the miracles that are promised. They'll get 100-fold blessing returned unto them.
The question now would be, how would the world react to the broadcast?